Hi everybody, good morning. This is Darren again with a quick review of the investigation I went on Saturday with fellow colleagues of the Paranormal Reviewers. So a little bit about where we went to. The place we went to was Anzio Army Camp with a great company called Spooktacular Events. Now, I hadn't heard of Spooktacular Events before. Let me tell you this, watch out for that name. They are going to be the next big thing in this field. They are fantastic. And I was lucky enough to speak to the owner. And they've got some really good venues coming up in the near future. But back to Anzio. Basically, Anzio Army Camp was used as a prisoner of war camp for German soldiers during World War I, World War II. And it was also used as a camp for the Polish. Whether they were Polish fighters that had been conscripted to the German forces and who decided to basically remain in the UK after the end of the war. They pretty much stayed in Anzio. As it evolved, it became a working army barracks, numerous regiments there. Bit of evidence I found personally indicated that one of the last working regiments at Anzio was a Gurkha regiment, due to the fact that one of the orders that I'd found hidden in a cupboard in the dormitories was signed by a WO2 Gurat, which is a pretty common Gurkha surname. I may be wrong, that's probably something I should really look into, but that is my opinion. Having served quite a significant time in Her Majesty's Armed Forces myself, I should really know this. So, Anzio Army Camp. Well, I'm pretty proud to say that we were part of the first ever ghost investigation team to ever actually investigate that location. And let me tell you something, the place is huge. You know, this is one of the bigger army camps I have been on ever, and I have been on many army camps. And literally every location apart from a shed is open for investigation. The custodian of the site, him and his men have done a really good job in keeping the site pretty clean. You know, I wouldn't say there's too many health and safety issues. Anything that could cause injury to any guests is clearly marked. You know, keep away, taped off and everything. Excuse me. And you know, it's even, I would even go as far as to say you get there at 9, finish at 3, which is pretty much you know your standard thing. You get your 6 hours. I don't think that's enough for this camp. This place is huge. There is absolutely, you've got 4 dormitory blocks. You've got the kitchens. Now I'll tell you something about the kitchens. I went in there with the medium as part of his group, and we were getting some activity in the kitchens. Quite some significant activity, in my opinion. It was quite funny because the group I split up to, it was the only group that actually had anybody that had served in the armed forces. There was myself, 2 other gentlemen, and one of the members of the staff had actually served in the armed forces around the same time I actually had. And he actually said he knew me from the armed forces. But we got some significant activity in there. You know, groans, unexplained breezes. No, I'm not going to say breeze. I'm going to say, you know, a significant drop in temperature, because a breeze is a breeze. You can tell a breeze. This literally made you where it hit turn ice cold. You know, like I say, unexplained groans, taps, crashes, bangs, all happened in the kitchen. Now we said to ourselves, you know what? We're in the kitchen. We're going to move on a bit. You know, within this area. We went, you go down corridor after corridor after corridor, and we ended up into this entirely different place. It was like, after exploring on my own a bit, I understand a bit more about how the actual layout was, but where the actual kitchen was, was the dining hall directly across from there would have been the junior NCOs and below's dining hall. Where we went, it would have been clearly split. There was a divider where it could have been pulled across, and there was like 2 bars one straight here, one straight here. The doors were right next to each other. The one here could have potentially been the senior NCO / warrant officers dining area. One next to that, the officers' mess. But the place just went on and on. Literally, you go into some of these buildings, you think, these buildings are not going to be that big. You know, they're not that big. They are massive. And that's why I think, 6 hours is really not enough time to actually get round that place. Natalie, the young lady who was basically team leader that night, fantastic girl, she really passionate about this. But also one thing I will say about her and her staff is they care more about the safety and the enjoyment of the guests than other business aspects. I'm not going to go into too much details about personal private conversations I had with her, but this is a company you can guarantee you're going to be looked after well on, and that's important. They don't mess about. They do the standard structure. By law they have to give the old insurance speech. Then you go on a group vigil. Then you split into groups and you do a quick turnaround. One vigil for half an hour with each member of staff. Obviously, they're interspersed with breaks. And then they try and give you as much time as possible to actually just fire out on your own. And that's where the issue is, in my opinion, because there's so many places you can go there on your own. Now, not many places give you 2 whole hours on your own. 2 hours on your own is not enough to actually get around that entire site. That site is massive. So I don't know. I have my own personal opinions about like what you could actually do, but obviously like there are there are conditions to the insurance and stuff like that why they can't do that. But me personally, I would just say to everybody, right, this is insurance. Quick tour of the site, bang, go on your own wherever you need to go, and just fire off with members of staff like they were doing during the 2 hours. Members of staff were walking around, checking on everybody, making sure everybody was all right, doing head counts to just make sure they pretty much had a rough idea where everybody was. Because you've got to remember, this is the first time that Anzio had ever been investigated, and because of that, even the staff were a bit unsure about the layout of the site. Although, like I say, the custodian knew the place like the back of his hand and was really good when he walked us round. It is a place you could get slightly lost in. You could get slightly lost. Like I say, this Anzio, this is good. This is a really, really good place. First time I've ever been on an army barracks for a ghost investigation, not actually been there for work. And it brought back some nice memories for me, actually. I've been out in the army for a couple of years now, and it was nice. You had the guardhouse standing. You across from the guard room. Sorry, they called it guardhouse, guard room. You saw the cells where they used to keep the soldiers that were obviously on restriction of privileges or had been sentenced to a term of imprisonment, but to be held on camp rather than in the MCTC at Colchester. You had the accommodation blocks. Sorry, I've gone back to that again. Kitchens, dining halls, the old armories. They even still had the shed where when you'd finish your guard duty, you would basically make sure your rifle was unloaded. So you take out the magazine, you check the chamber and stuff like that, and you do fire it into this thing. And even though there's meant to be nothing in there, because you usually have the guard commander behind you looking in there as well, and he will say, check, clear these springs. You still had that there. We've got photos. They've still got the racks where in the guard room where the assault rifles would be held for the guard of that night. There's still stuff on the walls. Standing orders. The stewards for the mess, the officers' mess, how the dress attire, how you would be expected to turn up on parade for your duty in the officers' mess. we got photos of all this. It was fantastic, and I do think there is activity on that site. Mark, who is one of my colleagues at the Paranormal Reviewers, he called out in Polish, because Mark luckily speaks a tiny bit of Polish, and it was quite, I don't believe too much in coincidences. I don't. But he spoke out in Polish. He said, "Hello, my name is Mark, are you Polish?" And the K2 meter went straight up to red. Straight up, and it stayed there. And then people started speaking in English again, went back down. Mark spoke in Polish again, went back up. English down, Polish up. People try and debunk that as whatever, but to me, I'm quite an intelligent guy, apparently got an IQ of 135, I've got a 1-1 in law. I have no explanation about how that could have possibly happened. People talking English and it hardly moves. The minute he speaks in Polish, it's firing up. The place was a well-known Polish immigration centre at one point. It wasn't called an immigration centre at that time, but that's what it basically was during that period of use before it became a working British Army camp, and obviously before the TA and that moved in as well. I think in regards to any issues with the actual place, which I can say is negative, not really. The team, fantastic, very passionate about what they do, very approachable, always willing to sit and chat. They love this. They absolutely love this whole investigation. The whole points of investigation. Very kind. Put on some good scran for people. When you go down there. Make sure the toilets are clean. That's the only thing I will say. After a very negative experience on my last ghost hunt with regards to the toilets. Toilets are clean. I will say one thing though. I think it's important for any ghost hosting event company to have 2 separate porta cabins if there is no toilets in the actual facility. Males and females need to have their own toilets, simply because women have issues that they don't want men to see, and us men sometimes just piss on the seat and leave it. Sorry, gotta say it. It's true. Come on, any of you women are watching this, you've got boyfriends, husbands. Sometimes the winky don't fire straight, and it's not nice for women to come in. Now, me personally, I will clean the seat if I have a bit of splashage, but other people won't. So have two porta cabins if you can. One for males, one for females. My colleague Mark took a load of EVP readings in the NAFI. For you who watch this video don't know what a NAFI is, it's basically the pub on barracks. It's where all the squaddies... in the NAFI, it's only junior NCOs and below who are allowed access to the NAFI. It's basically where they just go get pissed up on cheap beer. Just that's it. The amount of fights and stuff that happen in NAFI is unbelievable. And I personally feel, because of the kind of activity that always takes place in NAFIs, like you would have, and considering how old Anzio Army Camp is, that it actually dates back to World War One, you would have dances. There was an American battalion stationed there during World War Two. Forgot to leave that out. You would have dances. You would have competitions, karaoke nights. There's a lot of positive energy in those places. You can have the neg where people have a few brawls and stuff like that, but it is a positive place. And in there, and I'm actually waiting for Mark to, because we run it through a program we have on our computers. It's Sony Audio Suite, and it's fantastic for really, because what it does is any kind of different voice phenomenon. Like, you could have my voice, someone else's voice, someone else's voice, and then the ghost box, and it will pick up every single line of speech from each different person. So you can actually remove it, just keep removing it until you've got that one line. There was Mark asked, is anybody here? Excuse me, can't stop burping. And he got a reply saying, yes. It was clear as day. Obviously, people will always doubt it unless they hear it or see it. That's why we actually set up a video recorder while we were doing it as well. So you've actually got it on video. A woman said yes. And then he said, what is your name? And my personal opinion, until it's fully corroborated, but this is just my personal opinion, what I think I heard was Julia. And then, you know, we asked, got a few more responses. You know, I can't really say much about what the responses were because it wasn't clear enough to actually clearly make out what they were saying. That's why we're going to put it through the program, and then we will do like we will pass that back to Spooktacular Events because, you know, they were good to us. You know, if we've got something which they can use, we'll pass it back to them. So yeah, there is activity in there. One thing that did happen that night, and it still boggles my brain, and I've spoken in depth to Mark and Rachel about this. We were doing a group vigil. I think the leader of the vigil, the staff member's name was Claire. I'm not too sure. But we were all in this building. When it was time to move on, change round, myself, Mark, a few other people, we took a right, went down the stairs, and went straight out the building. Claire and this group said they went down the landing, took a right, took another right, and got lost, yet ended up where they would have ended up had they come down our set of stairs, yet the set of stairs they come over would never have been able to end them up where they ended up, if that makes any sense. Very strange, but also, as we were all standing outside, everyone standing outside, everyone, and I mean everyone, saw what was, I thought, was a torchlight being shined in the upstairs of the dormitory. Now, this building is labelled D. They've labelled the building, so when you go to Anzio, and I highly recommend you do, go to building D, because this torchlight upstairs made us think we'd left someone behind. So Claire was like, no, head count, boom, 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 boom. Everybody was there. Screaming up, is anybody up there? No response whatsoever, but there was this light, and it looked like a torchlight. You know, coupled with what they experienced, you know, and I know you always have to take with a pinch of salt when a staff member says they experience this, and everybody does, you know, because of they want you to have the best experience, and there's always that risk of suggestion, and suggestion is a powerful thing. You know, you have mediums go around saying, oh, I see a young lady, you know, looks about 18 in a Victorian dress. Hour later, a group will go there, do a Ouija board, and then they'll come back all excited saying, oh, we spoke to a young lady called Emma who was 18 years old and lived there in the early 1900s. And it's the power of suggestion most times. But the fact that she had guests with her also saying, you know, I don't know how we ended up here from where we come down those stairs. You know, and it was just so weird. You know, it almost sounded like a time warp, you know, where you go through one place and end up in another. But no, you know, Anzio is active. It's not as active as it can be, but as more investigations take place, you know, the energy builds up. That place is going to be one of the big ones to go to. You know, we're losing the Towers Asylum, which was always one of the jewels in the crown of investigation. You know, everybody loved going Towers Asylum, but now, like my last video said, it's a building site. You know, we've lost it now. But I think it'd be one of Jewels of the Crown. You know, we've got Newisham Asylum, we've got St Catherine's. Now we've got Anzio, and I think Anzio is the only army barracks that's actually open for investigation at the moment. So, you know, they've done well there. What? So a bit more about the Anzio Army Barracks. You've obviously got your guard room. You've got your basically the cells where they would keep the soldiers. They've still got the cell bars on there. You've got the training area. You've got the firing ranges. You've got, like, this brought back nightmares for me, believe you me. You've got the NBC chamber. For those of you who do not know what NBC stands for, it stands for Nuclear, Biological and Chemical Warfare. Basically, it's where they lock you in a chamber and just throw in as many CS gas tablets as they can. Now, you've got your gas mask and your NBC suit on at this time, okay? Yeah, so you're thinking, you're cool. No. Every time, the DS will always ask you, take off your mask, say your name, rank, number. Sir, I am, boom, that's it. The gas hits you, and they leave you in there. They get a kick out of it. I'm not going to say where this one is, but there is a gas chamber I went into whilst I was serving in the armed forces, and there was actual scratch marks on the wall and door where people had tried to claw their way out, and the DS didn't let them out because they thought it was funny. And trust me, like, obviously climbing up the ranks myself during my career, you know, I was never an NBC instructor, but I always remember, you know, walking around RHQ at this regiment and seeing the young privates, lance corporals that were preparing for operations like this, with their eye just streaming tears and snot and mucus coming out of all their every orifice on their face. Yeah, so it'd be interesting to do some kind of vigil in the NBC chamber, because that place is just pure negativity. There is nothing positive about the NBC chamber, trust me. And the NBC chamber is as you go up to where the assault course is. And the assault course, funnily enough, is still standing. I wouldn't recommend going on it, but it's still standing. You know, I just really love that place, and I will be going back there again. Obviously, this time was more of a review, so obviously, like, it was more of just an observing, you know, seeing how things are run. Next time, I'm just going back as just a guest to just absolutely do all kinds of, you know, stuff there. You know, I've got some fantastic. I have a friend who's an inventor who's doing some paranormal inventions that he gives to me, the HD glasses, which I took on the investigation, and they're good. They're good. Probably need a little bit of modification, but they're good. But they obviously do ghost boxes, your spirit boxes. You know, set up some HD cameras. You know, infrared, night vision, hotspots. Lots of hotspots there. Yeah, Anzio is a good place. There's a lot that can be done, a lot that's gonna be done, and I think personally, like I said earlier, as the more and more people go there, the energy will build and it will become more active. If you get someone on there who speaks German, I recommend getting them to say hello in German. Obviously, we saw how speaking in Polish got some activity. And that's basically it, really. You know, Spooktacular Events. from my first experience with them, fantastic company, led by a very business savvy businesswoman. You know, really care about customer opinions, great customer support. You know, I think it, again, I'm not going to go into private conversations, but this is the company that's going to make a splash. You know, I know they've got some new venues. I was privy to that information, and some of them sound absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And, you know, I will leave a link to their website in the description below. If any of you guys want to book their next tour at Anzio, or just have a look at their website, you know, go to their Facebook page again. Their Facebook page is actually linked. There's a link to it on our Facebook page. I'll leave a link to our Facebook page in the description below. Also, please follow us on Twitter. We're doing a lot of competitions on Twitter actually at the moment, and a lot of them have been really successful. So please follow us on Twitter. We're always most active Sunday night during Haunted Hour. You know, where that's a big thing, where all paranormal enthusiasts, we all get together. You know, we share stories, share ideas, and one of the things we would like to do at the Paranormal Reviewers is get that family together. You know, and maybe meet up and go on a hunt together. You know, I'm in the process of actually speaking to a ghost hunting company to see if they can facilitate that, and we will pay for it. You guys just need to get yourselves there. That's it. Get yourselves there. It's a free ghost hunt. Anyway, so Anzio Army Camp, in the end, for me, gets an 8 out of 10. The reason it gets an 8 out of 10 is because there is still there wasn't an over amount of activity, but there was some. And also, because of the size of the location and the amount of time you're actually getting, a lot of people think 6 hours is a lot of time, but if you want to really deeply investigate every single building, it's not. So 8 out of 10, but Spooktacular Events company as a company, 10 out of 10. Go check them out. Fantastic company, led by a fantastic person. This is Darren from Paranormal Reviewers. Until our next investigation, which we are lucky enough to say is the Aniston Funeral Home with a company called Simply Paranormal. Take care, gents, and remember, paranormal unity. Bye bye now.